And welcome to the Odds Flightdeck podcast dedicated to Montreal. It's football presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to royalretros.com, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X and Blue Sky over at Repact. That's REPPACT.
Hi, Diddly Ho, Podcasterinos. This is Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and on Blue Sky over at Cliffy D.
The show following the home opener. The season opener. Hell, season opener. It's always fun, man. I will admit, winning is better, but just in general itself, being back at the stadium and with a game that actually counts in the standings and starting the road to the Grey Cup, nothing better. Nothing really could have, could have put a damper on anything. I guess if we had rain again, um,
We had smoke.
we had smoke, yeah. But all in all, man, it was fun to be back at Personal Molson, just to see everybody, the atmosphere, and all the things that occurred for that one game itself. It was just an utter joy to be back at this and watching this fun game that we call the CFL.
100%. And yeah, even though we were at the preseason game, which technically does count as going to Personal Molson Stadium, but I mean, nothing beats the actual vibes of a true, honest to goodness Canadian Football League game, like a regular season game, especially too the home opener, the season opener, essentially. I mean, it's officially official at this point. I mean, it makes for such a great atmosphere. And despite the smokiness that was kind of lingering in the air, it's funny. They said it was really bad. Like it was like poor. Like the levels were at poor, and
Yeah.
I didn't see not even one person questioning whether or not this game was going to take place or not. And I guess it was just a matter of, listen, if they're not going to cancel it in like Alberta and Saskatchewan and places like that where the smoke levels have really been at a heightened level, then I guess Montreal is going to soldier on. And thankfully they did, because I'm glad we were able to see this game, because my goodness, talk about, kicking things off with a bang. And that's exactly what the Montreal Alouettes did against the reigning defending Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts.
Yes, sir. Just shy of 21,500 showed up, 21,480. See, the Alouettes beat the Toronto Argonauts by the score of 28-10. And first and foremost, by the way, I'm gonna say, if you missed Flight Deck Live, go watch it, because it's fun to have somebody else basically video bomb the show. So it was really cool to see that happen post game.
Yeah,
And
shout out to our boy Wesley Sutton.
Yeah, I gotta give a quick story before we get into things, because this is all all wraps up into everything here. Because obviously Flight Deck Live is post game, but people don't know about Flight Deck Live this past week. I mean, if you guys notice, and it's happened before, where the lights have started to turn off the lights in the stadium as we're doing the show, especially when we're doing it at night. What people don't know is that as soon as I hit the stop button, the stop button for broadcasting, the lights at Personal Molson Stadium the entire stadium went dark.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think that's the first time that we have ever had to deconstruct our set by using the flashlights on our cell phones.
Oh yeah, it was very surreal, to say the least, and to the point, like, okay, fine, we're leaving. Like, it was like you couldn't have made it any more clear that you wanted us to get the hell out of there. But I mean, like, okay, fine, we're done. Now we'll go. And yeah, that was pretty hilarious. I mean, they say timing is everything, and this was proof positive, because yeah, like no sooner than you would hit stop, I'm like, all right, great show, and then everything just went out. And it's funny because there are still people working in the stadium, like,
Yeah.
Everybody's leaving. Is like the fans that were sitting in the stands have already left. Players were starting to leave, the coaches, all that. But there are still people that actually work at Personal Molson Stadium, like collecting the garbage and taking down signs and basically deconstructing the whole place. They were
Yeah.
still working. Like, I'm sure they would have appreciated a light or two left on still, but like, my goodness, y'all
Which they
just went
finally did. Which they finally did.
I think they realized, okay, like, if they're trying to send a message to the stragglers that were still on the fields, like, okay, go home. But like, you got people working, they kind of need some light too. So yeah, a couple lights did eventually come back on, but it was just too funny, absolutely too funny that happened right after we finished Flightdeck Live.
I know. As I said, the Owls did win. It was the earliest home game ever in Alouettes history, by the way.
Mm.
Um, where do where do you want to start? Do we give the accolades, or do we give our experiences leading up to kickoff? Because obviously it's both is important. I know the game, for some, the stats and the game itself is the most meaningful thing. But for you, what do you want to do? Should we go with the pregame accolades first?
Let's do that because we've already discussed a lot of it on Flight Deck Live. And again, folks, if you didn't watch Flight Deck Live, you can find it still on X, on Facebook, and yes, go to our YouTube page as well, and you'll be able to get the archive of Flight Deck Live there. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, or audio version now. The audio version over at alouettesflightdeck.ca. It's
There
more
you
fun
go.
watching us, though. It's more fun watching us.
Well, that's it.
Um,
It's again, you get to see our handsome mugs, and yes, the handsome mug of one Wesley Sutton this week. So there you go. Look
yeah,
at that. Look at that. Who's going to refuse
there
that? Come
there you
on,
go.
come on.
The Alouettes had everything in there. Tailgate, they had the flyby. What's funny, by the way, it's seen every year, a newspaper story, radio story, etc. I saw something. I think CBC did something on all their socials, talking about, well, if you happen to hear blah blah blah. I mean, it's you know, I get it, but it's news. I get it, but it's a yearly occurrence so far, at least for the Alouettes over the past couple of years, ever since the PKP era. Um, but yeah, I mean, it seemed like a regular, and this is what it is. It was an Alouettes home game where everybody was just jacked to be there. The lineups to get into the stadium are absolutely nuts, which is in a
Mhm.
good way.
Yes.
Um, it was from meeting old friends again, meeting new friends. And speaking of meeting new friends, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, absolutely. We were Tim and I were just blown away that so many people had come up to us before, during, and after the game, saying, "Hey, Flight Deck, yeah, all right, we listen to you guys, we love what you're doing, and everything like that." And believe me, that means a lot. It really does. So, I mean, so many people got to say hello to us, and we appreciate it, folks. I mean, like, you see us at the games. I mean, we're not hard to find, right? I mean, we're the ones wearing Alouettes Flight Deck stuff. So yeah, coming up and saying hello, we appreciate that. We love that. I mean, it's just so awesome that so many people were able to come up and talk to us, and they want to talk about the pod and the interviews that we've done and things like that. I mean, it's awesome. It just shows that, yes, for those of you that have subscribed and are following the podcast and doing all the things that we so kindly ask you to do week in and week out, we appreciate it. We really, really do. And it's just so awesome to see people come up to us and saying, like, "Man, I love the show. We really love the show. You guys are doing a great job." It means a lot to Tim and I. So once again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much. And again, if you see us at games, by all means, please come say hello. We would love to talk football, love to talk about podcasts, Alouettes, what have you. I mean, we're here for you. That's why we do this show, right? I mean, we do the show so otherwise it would just be Tim and I talking to each other and not just be weird. So I mean, we're very happy and humbled even to have people come up and talk to us about the show. So once again, thank you for acknowledging this happy little podcast.
And there's just one thing, at least I got to say, there's this a very um, a very good spot where I parked for the very first time. I came in, parked it near the stadium, and walking to tailgate. So people were tailgating, within the parking lot itself, which people don't hear much. They think of over by the main gates. And I'm
Right.
walking by and I'm thinking, that's me. They're listening to. They're listening to the pod. So again, new friends, meeting new friends, and it was weird. It was like I go to the music. It's so weird hearing people listen to me because they're playing it over their truck speaker. So I mean, why not? So
And hey, what we always talk about this. What better way to get ready for the game than listen to the Alouettes flight deck? I like to think we try to inform and entertain people about the Alouettes, each and every week. So to hear that is so cool. I mean, I'm sure it was surreal to walk by and hear your voice, like coming out of a radio of sorts. Like it's just
yeah.
wow, just wow.
Yeah, exactly. Tune in this week to the Alouettes flight deck with Cliffy T and Tim Capper. Um, yeah. So besides that, I mean, as I said, the Alouettes had somebody at halftime, and I mean, that's to me. I'm sorry. I know for anybody who likes them, that's fine. But to me, it's quote unquote somebody. It's like
Well,
yeah, I mean, they're doing it right, and I understand Amar Doman's paying big bucks to have their opening, concert series in BC, but we've gone from OLP 3 years ago to whoever this random guy is who won the Quebec version of I guess Canadian American Idol, whatever. I can't remember what it's called in Quebec, but um,
it's called Star
Academy,
Academy.
Star Cat, yeah,
Star
Star Academy.
Academy. But and then here's the thing: he was the winner from 2021. I mean, like if it was 2025 or even 2024, okay, I could kind of see that. But 2021, like what? Really? And I'm sorry to say, but it felt like a glorified karaoke show. Like you could have just, said, would the fan sitting in section Y1, row 14, seat 1, please come to the stage and sing your heart out. I mean, like, I'm sorry. I don't, as a general rule, I try not to knock on anyone who's, trying to make it. Because again, even us, we're trying to make it in the entertainment field, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, we've come a long way from Our Lady Peace to Kane last year to like a random, pop star ish type. I mean, that's the thing. I never even heard of this guy before, and okay, fine. I'm not so up to date on, French musical stars of sorts, but I mean, for the home up, especially too when you've got Snoop Dogg playing in BC this past weekend.
Yeah.
Winnipeg's having their home opener this week, and they've got the Trues at halftime. Again, not a massive name, but still a name, at least in Canadian rock. Like these are, a moderate successful. We saw them play at the Eastern Final 2 years ago, and they were very solid, really good. At least people have heard of them. Like I'm sorry, but I mean, other than the family of this random superstars, reality show contestant, I mean, I'm sorry, it just didn't connect. Like I don't know anyone who was. I guarantee nobody went to the Alouettes home opener just to see that. So you can take it one of two ways, though, Tim. The Alouettes have built such a culture in such a short time to make these games must see, like you being there live, even creating that FOMO that we keep talking about, the fear of missing out. You have to be at the stadium to watch the game because you got to see these guys play. To the point where maybe now the Alouettes organization is thinking, you know what, we could probably put anybody there, and people are coming for the show, right? They're not coming to see a concert. They're not coming to see who's playing halftime or pregame or what have you. They're here to see the Alouettes play football, and I'm 100% with that. Like, I mean, I normally could give a toss about the halftime show or who's playing at halftime or if there's any concerts beforehand or whatnot. I mean, I could take it or leave it. And that's how it's always been. That's just how I've been conditioned for it. It's just that once you have a group of such cachet like Our Lady Peace, and then to, I expect them to, that's a pretty tough, you set the bar pretty high at that point, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
At least the band they had last year, Kane, is popular enough in Quebec. They do get a lot of radio play and people have heard of them. It's just this year is almost like they forgot, oh shoot, we got to book a halftime act. Okay. Find somebody, anybody, I don't care. Just put somebody on stage. And that's that was the vibe I got. I mean, that's how it sort of came across too. Was like just put any rando up there, and okay, I think next year's halftime show, I joked about this, is gonna be entertain yourselves, damn it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you have to have a top-notch act. It'd be cool, it'd be nice, but at that point, if the Alouettes are this close to selling out, then there's not that pressure to fill a big stadium like what BC Place has to do. Again, to sell out 50,000 tickets, like people aren't necessarily going to go to watch the BC Lions play football, but you give them like a big name doing a concert before the show. Okay, you'll at least get people in the door, and hopefully they'll stay. And it's very possible, and I have a feeling that the vast majority of them left as soon as Snoop Dogg left the stage, and that's to be expected. But it still counts as a sold ticket. It still counts as attendance. So yes, the official attendance in BC Place was a little over 52,000. And hey, kudos to them for being able to do that. And if that's the only reason they can get that kind of number, well, then so be it. Montreal clearly doesn't have to worry about trying to fill out a stadium. They're not trying to sell at the Big O, for example. And if they were playing at the Big O, then that's probably what they would have to do to even come close to getting those kind of numbers, would be to have a real honest to goodness superstar act. Like you couldn't just trot out some random, quasi famous celebrity type in Quebec and expect to fill the stadium with 50,000 plus people. It just wouldn't happen.
No. And considering, and I just happened to find this out recently, is considering that, I've always said, I understand, and it works, and I'm hoping sooner or later it will come to fruition. If possible, bring in a simple plan. You know what I mean? I mean, how popular they are. I mean, they're playing Canada Day in Roxborough, by the way. So they're going to be local.
To give context, folks, I mean, that's basically a borough in Montreal. I mean, that's
West Island. Yeah, West Island. Yeah.
Yeah, just for our non-Montreal people that are listening, just give me an idea of perspective of that. But still, I mean, this is a band of some cachet playing at a smaller scale, no doubt, Canada Day event. Like, you're telling me the Alouettes couldn't have been able to land these guys for a halftime show just for the holy crap factor of, oh my gosh, they're playing, same as it was with Our Lady of Peace a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but to be fair, they're touring. I can't see what their dates were, if they would have been available or not. But I mean, it's come on, PKP, look for next year. You know what I mean? Make sure you have them here. They are a name. I think they would draw well. I really do.
Well, and again, playing devil's advocate, maybe it's that we're at that point. And again, I do remember the weeks leading up to this game, looking at Ticketmaster's seating chart and seeing lots of sold seats. So it's almost like, well, it's not like we need to sell it. We don't need to have a big name to get people in the door. So I guess you could take that as that's how much people love Alouettes football, is they're going to show up no matter what. So maybe there isn't that pressure to put on a big name act to try and fill the stadium. So like I said, it works one of two ways, right? I mean, it's because yes, you have an entertaining product that people are willing to come and see, that you don't need to dress it up with anything, frivolous or, superlative. But at the same time, when you've got other CFL cities that are, putting on acts of, greater or of greater value.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can understand why people are going like, what? Huh? Okay, that's going to put butts in seats. Like, well,
I mean,
butts are already.
OLP did. They'll get it right. As I said, it can be a crapshoot. I get. It wasn't the be all end all, but I mean, there was other stuff to talk about. Obviously, I mean, I love every year. I love the flyover. Love the flyover because it just gets everybody hyped.
Big time.
And I was wondering whether they're going to have it or not because of the smoke. Didn't matter. Here they came, and they right on time on the national anthem, right on time, right before kickoff. It was beauty.
Yeah, and that's it. Like when I watched the replay on TV, like you did see the planes, and you definitely did see smoke around them. So I was a little worried too that maybe it wouldn't have quite the effect, but I mean, it's the sound more than anything else, right? I mean, just that
Mhm.
with that sonic boom that comes through not once but twice. Woo! Yeah, at that point you're just, as you said, you're hyped, you're jacked, you're like, yeah, let's go, and
Yeah.
it just serves as the perfect way to truly kick off, figuratively and literally, the CFL football season.
LFG, LFG. There you go.
Exactly.
All right. As I said, the Owls doing well, and because of the few dates that we have this year, with holidays and stuff like that, tailgate will show up again too, which is really really fun.
Mhm,
Um, but again, we get to the game itself. We come into the game where at this time last year, Cody Fajardo was our starter,
mhm,
and we saw what happened throughout the year. It really has been anointed. 2025 has been anointed. The Davis Alexander era, which it is. The guy comes in being a fourth year starter with the Alouettes, uh, undefeated in his starts in his career.
mhm,
No other Montreal quarterback has done what he's done as a
mhm.
starter in his first starts as a career. No other quarterback has done that. The most recent one was Vernon Adams
Yeah,
when he went 3-0 in his first starts, and we've had some others too.
yeah.
So there was a lot of hype, and again, if anybody was at practice or had been at camp or had been following the Davis throughout his career, you know what type of guy he is, and pre, uh, preseason really wasn't a gauge at all because Davis came in for this game, man, hyped, and he could see he did really well. He did really well, and it was a combination of things for this 28-10 win. It wasn't just Davis. It was a combination of things, though, across the board.
Oh yeah, and I even harken back to our first 2025 Flight Deck Live from Personal Wilson Stadium, where Davis video bombed us, and he even said, "What you saw today, I'm better than that, and you're going to see it. I'm going to be better than that." Well, guess what? Davis Alexander, you kept that promise, my man, because you definitely looked a hell of a lot better than you did in that preseason game. Now, let's not forget, preseason games, they don't count in the standings, and you're running a vanilla offense and you're just trying not to get hurt. Like you just want to get some reps in there, and you're not looking to dazzle everybody in a preseason game that doesn't count in the standings. But when when the time comes, Davis Alexander has shown and did show this past Friday that he's ready to answer the call. And boy, did he answer the call in a big, big way.
And again, it was overall. I mean, Davis ended up going 19 to 26, only 205 yards, an interception and touchdown, an interception that really shouldn't have been thrown.
Mm.
Speaking of, by the way, you and I can now give clarification on that interception. If anybody was in the stadium was looking at it, there was an interception and was like, well, wait a minute, why the ball go out? Why the ball go out to the 30 as if it were a touchback? Well, now we know that it wasn't the original guy who intercepted the ball for the Argos. It went bounced out of his hands and into the receiver, into the defender behind him, who stepped on the pylon, hence giving the Argos that touchback. So
Yeah,
now we know.
basically breaking
Couldn't
the
have
plane as you would if you were trying to score a touchdown. As long as you get past that, and hitting the pylon is officially being in the end zone. So yeah, makes total sense. But when you're there live and you're wondering what the hell's going on, first of all, yes, ill-advised throw by Davis, in double coverage, especially too, like watching back and you seeing, I think it was Austin Mack was, he had beat out his defender, and
been.
had Davis looked in his direction, he had nothing but green grass in front of him. But sometimes you take a chance, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this instance, unfortunately, it did not work for Davis and the Alouettes. But at that point, too, the Alouettes had pretty much put a chokehold on this game. So I mean, that doesn't excuse the miscue, but at the same time, the Alouettes were. It's not like the Alouettes were in desperation mode or anything like that.
No. Again, it seemed everything was clicking, and this is one of the stats that was very, very telling because if you've been watching us long enough, you know that there are some frustrations on our part when it comes to how an offense can start a first half and a second half, how in many games in 2024. The Alouettes offense just went stagnant in the first quarter. Cliff, this team, the entire game versus Toronto, had two and outs. That's it. That is a sign of a good offense.
Absolutely. And everything was clicking too, for the most part. I mean, Davis was outstanding, of course. His receivers were just making plays left, right, and center. The running back game. Oh my goodness. Can we take a second and talk about both Sean Thomas Erlington and Travis Tice baby? Oh my. These two were on one big time, especially STE. He was bowling people over. He was getting those yards in. I mean, he was looking extremely comfortable in the RB1 position. But not to be outdone was Tice making his Alouettes regular season debut at Percival Molson Stadium. And he too, my goodness, like he was taking some licks and just kept on going. I mean, like we saw this in training camp. We saw this in the preseason as well. I mean, this guy is hard as hell to tackle. Again, like tackling a bowling ball. I've used this analogy before, especially talking about one AJ Ouellette, former Argo AJ Ouellette. I mean, Travis Tice, this guy came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, like people are sitting up and taking notice of him. And this running game, just between that and also too, Davis Alexander, not to be he was essentially outdone, but he too, when the moment needed, had no problem tucking the tail under his arm and going for a little jog. And he was able to gain some yards too. I mean, that too, though, kind of concerns me because that also means that he wasn't getting the protection he needed in the pocket, and he just felt he got flushed out and had to, think fast on his feet, which he absolutely did. But at the same time, I was starting to worry that maybe when the final stats come out, are we going to see that Davis Alexander had more rushing yards than his running backs? Thankfully, no, he did not. But
no, he didn't. But
the threat is there.
Things will change, I think, when we'll talk about the O-line and stuff like that. Speaking of the running game, and shout out to Stats Guru Steve Daniel, who I reached out to earlier this week. I had a couple of questions and a couple of ideas, but listen to this, Cliff. This week, STE, he actually led the CFL with 17 rushing attempts, more than any other Alouette starting running back since August 5th of 2023, when William Stanback had 19. On top of that, Montreal led the entire CFL with 163 rushing yards. I remember, again, if you've been watching this show long enough, you know how much we harped on this last year. Not only was it Cody leading the team in rushing, but they weren't doing anything. And I will admit, at one point, it did seem that the Owls tailed off this week when it came to rushing with STE or Tice or Davis. It was a lot higher than what I expected it to be. But still, if they can consistently do this, and even if Davis does get 250 yards a game, or it alternates, because there could potentially be some very big changes this week when it comes to who's I would say who's 2 and 3, but we'll get to that because of the running back situation. It'll be very interesting because I still think that this team is going to be very pass heavy, but they're going to easily have a running game this year, I think, that will be able to complement the passing game quite well.
Yeah, and I think just having that knowledge too of what someone like a Sean Thomas Erlington can do in the backfield, and to a lesser extent Travis Tice, that's got to put Davis's mind at ease that he doesn't have to be the hero. He doesn't have to take those home run shots necessarily or try to force something to happen. I mean, he's got plenty of options offensively. I mean, yeah, he's got a receiving core that has just been nothing short of phenomenal looking. I mean, it's just one game, but still, everybody ate. That's the thing. I believe he passed the ball around to 7 receivers when it was all said and done. I mean, like he's not afraid to spread the ball around, but being able to lean on the run game as well. I mean, it also means also that the offensive line has to open up some holes for these guys. And yeah, Sean Thomas Erlington had some really nice runs in the game, but there's a lot of times too where there's a couple of times too where he really had to earn every yard. I mean, like just going up against that brick wall that is the Toronto defensive line, managed to get himself through it, but I mean he was working for it. So I mean, I'm hoping that this offensive line, which I have to say, if I had to find a negative area to talk about, that's the one I'd unfortunately be looking at, because I really felt they could have been a lot better than what they were. I mean,
Yeah.
to their credit, they didn't allow any sacks of Davis, but I mean,
They were, and to be fair, for those yelling at us now, saying, "Well, wait a minute, Davis was sacked." Yes, but in the context of things, Davis's sacks were coverage sacks. The sacks that the Alouettes defense had on Ottawa, completely different.
I mean Toronto.
Sorry, yeah, on Toronto. I'm thinking this week too. Toronto, yes, they weren't the same type of sack. I
Right.
understand. I think it was three. Is it 4-3 or 3-2 or something? I'll again, but still, I'm actually agreeing with you 100%, Cliff. It wasn't perfect, you know. I will admit. I mean, can you imagine what it'd been like if Davis had been able to had hit Tyson on those short passes that he missed in the first half? Good Lord, the score would have been even higher.
I mean, in all reality, Tyson Philpott should have had 3 touchdowns instead of 1.
Yeah.
And, okay, there was one that he was very heavily defended against, so, can't fault him for that.
No.
The second one was just a little bit or the other one was just a little bit out of his reach. But, I mean, at least the two of them were able to find the end zone together. So, I mean, you definitely have to give props for that. And what a beautiful throw, too, by Davis, right into the hands of Tyson Philpott. Just an absolutely outstanding throw, and we're going to be seeing more of that this year, folks. I can guarantee that connection, that was the first of many for both Davis Alexander and Tyson Philpott.
Yeah, for sure. Again, SDE 17 attempts, 86 yards. Caleb Evans had the only rushing touchdown, but it was nice to see Caleb back under center doing the third down stuff.
And doing it quite well too.
Yeah, very well. It was Austin Mack leading the team in receiving, perfect on targets and receptions at 5 each, at 51 yards. Tyson Philpott 48. He had the only receiving touchdown. But again, as you said, it went to 7 different receivers had a catch in this game, and as I said, 1 or 2 reads. We're talking about the interception. We're curious to know what read was Mac? What was we either the first option, second option, third option? You know what I mean? I don't know. But still, Davis did well. There was a scare. We have to talk about it because that goes with our concerns with the O-line. Second half, Davis basically at first we thought it was friendly fire. Was it, we thought it was friendly fire at first, but it was actually the Toronto defenseman who rolled up on Davis, and he was down, and the collective gasped in the crowd. Talked to a few people, even team-related people, after the game itself, and everybody was like, "Oh no,
holding
what's
their breath."
happening?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
and especially
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's immediately you see Davis clutching his knee. I'm like, oh no, like just no, like, dear God, no. Like, try not to swear here, but like, damn it, no. Like, this is not gonna happen. Not today. Not now. Like, you can't. But thankfully, it was. I think it was probably more the shock of being clipped out from underneath him that I think that's what it was more than anything else, because he did eventually jog off the field under his own power. So I was like, okay, so phew. It's just one of those moments where your heart just kind of jumps in your throat just a little bit, and it's like, oh my God, like, but he came back in, and all's well that ends well. But yeah, it's again, this still comes back to not giving your quarterback the kind of protection he needs. Like things like this just cannot happen. Not to your starting quarterback, not to essentially the guy who's going to become your franchise player. It is in line to becoming your franchise player and the face of this organization. I mean, this offensive line really, I mean, they did some good things this past Friday, but wow, they still got a ways to go. Let's just put it that way. I'm trying to be as positive as I can about this, but I mean, there's a few miscues and a lot of things that could have been done a little bit better. So, I mean, it's not to say they're not talented. These guys definitely have talent, but at the same time, it's just those little things. You just got to be able to execute properly, and that's really that would have made a lot more of it. Like the score would have definitely been a lot higher had Davis been given those opportunities. Unfortunately, were not given to him as a result of his O-line just kind of, I won't say not doing their job, but just not doing their job to the best of their ability. Let's put it that way.
Do we think that the Nick Calendar injury may have made an issue? Because I'm trying to remember when he got hurt, and it's not any breaking news. Nick Calendar won't be playing this week versus Ottawa. It's
Mhm.
already been announced. Um, do you think that was one of the things, or was there any other? Was it anybody in particular? Was it a particular side? And yes, I think most of Davis's stuff when the pocket collapsed and he was trying to come forward.
Mhm.
Um, any particular place that stood out? Was it the calendar injury, or was it something else in your opinion?
I mean, listen, I'm not here to lay blame on anybody, but as a unit, like I said, they were not terrible, but I definitely think they could have been a lot better. I think that it's just minor improvements is really what I'm looking at here. I mean, like I know they were able to create a couple of holes for Sean Thomas Erlington to run through. They gave Davis enough protection to go through his reads, and there's a couple times too where it's like if it's not there, then don't force it. You just tuck the ball, and if you have to run, you have to run. And my concern is just making sure that doesn't happen too often. I mean, if you don't have the play, you don't have the play. Sometimes you're just better to either give up on the play or try to make something happen with your feet, which is what Davis is more than likely going to try and do more than anything else, because we know his mobility is pretty darn good. But I mean, that O-line really does have to protect their quarterback, if nothing else. I
Mhm.
mean, that's your moneymaker right there. You got to do everything you can to make sure that no one on the defense gets even within like breathing distance of Davis Alexander. So to me, I'm hoping it was just a one-off. I hope they realize. I'm sure they saw the film. They broke down what needed to be done, and I'm hoping that against Ottawa on Friday, they're going to be a lot better. They're going to show up and be a lot better for their quarterback.
Now we were talking about, it wasn't just the offense in itself. Like again, it's a great score, 28-7, but it just wasn't all touchdowns. We had uh, our special teams did really well this week. Our defense did really well this week.
No,
Where do you want?
they sorry, this defense did not do really well. They were otherworldly. I mean, this
Okay.
defense was as close to perfect as one could hope for. It was, my goodness, this defense is really something else. I mean, as much as I love watching touchdowns and points on the board, sometimes there is just something so satisfying of watching a defense just absolutely demolish an opposing offense. And that's exactly what this Alouettes defense, led by Noel Thorpe, did this past Friday. They demolished the Argos. They got in Nick Arbuckle's kitchen and made him regret putting on the uniform. I mean, this is a guy that basically came in a few months ago and embarrassed this Alouettes team to go to the Grey Cup, and he went and won the Grey Cup for the Argos. Came into this game and he just looked flustered. He couldn't get anything going. I mean, he had a couple of nice throws here and there, but I mean, by and large, he had no answer for this defense, and that's exactly what you want to see. A defense that just absolutely swarms, makes life miserable for the quarterback, and just slams the door on the offense is really something to be seen.
Uh, Again, confirmed 3 quarterback sacks. Again, we had multiple interceptions, and we also had a scoop and score by an Owls D lineman for his very first CFL touchdown.
Absolutely. The uncrowned most outstanding Canadian, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, took advantage. It was talk about a series of unfortunate events for Nick Arbuckle and the Toronto offense. Arbuckle was trying to pass the ball. The ball didn't want to cooperate, I guess, and he he ended up fumbling the ball. But what's funny was the ball came out of his hands. Lawal Ugalek could have grabbed that ball and made it his own. He could have had that opportunity, and he had nobody in front of him too. Unfortunately, big man with those big meaty paws just couldn't quite clasp them together, and the ball bounced. And you see the dejection on his his body language afterwards. Like he thought, oh, I effed up. Oh no. Sure enough, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund looked kind of looking around really quick, like no whistle. Nobody wants this. Okay, I'll take it. Picks up the ball and rumbles to the end zone, and we're all in shock. Like, what just happened? And we even thought, okay, no, that was that a forward pass? Did or not? Like, or I actually thought he was trying to do like a backwards lateral.
Tom Brady. I was thinking of Tom Brady tuck rule.
Well, that's the thing. There is no tuck rule in CFL, obviously, because
I know.
After again, all scoring plays are reviewed, whether it's by offense or defense. So we, obviously you and I were like, okay, we got to see what happened. Like, after watch the game after and see what happened. But sure enough, command center made their ruling, and it was a Nick Arbuckle fumble, and Isaac Adeyemi Berglund scooped and scored, and his first CFL touchdown. I wasn't sure at the time if he had ever scored a touchdown before when he was a member of the Calgary Stampeders, but apparently not. So this is his first honest to goodness touchdown, and bravo. I couldn't happen to a better guy. And even if he didn't score that touchdown, he still would have had a phenomenal game because he was just all over the place, sacks and just terrorizing everybody.
Him, Ugoak, and
Sean Oakman.
So, well, no, Oakman didn't know. There's only 3 sacks. Officially, only 3 sacks. According to the CFL. Isaac, Ugoak, and Sankey had a sack. And again, as they say, go back and watch these sacks. These were not coverage sacks in any way, shape, or form.
No, Arbuckle was getting ragdolled. It was again, you absolutely love to see it as an Alouettes fan, as a lover of this defense. I mean, just absolute beauty. I mean, poor Arbuckle. You almost felt sorry for him. Almost.
And the Demi Berglund touchdown was right before the half, put the Owls up, gave the Owls 15 points. Mm-hmm. But after that, and again, you take advantage of the opportunities that you're given. And we talked about the special teams. Special teams did very well again this week too. Also, second half again too. How does the Alouettes do? Owls they deferred in this, by winning the toss.
Yep.
And then kickoff for the second half. James Letcher Jr., man. Crazy.
Oh,
put the Alouettes in a hell of a position in order to score their touchdown to start off the second half. And again, that's the thing, man. It's everything went well. Everything went well. Kickoff return, it was 67 yards. By the way, I had to point this out, and then we have to get to some huge accolades too by the special team because it was just went off. One of the biggest surprises of that second half, and especially by the return team, was a 22-yard return by Tyrell Richards. We were like, well, exactly. What?
Wait, what? I mean, listen, Tyrell is an absolute dynamo on special teams. I mean, that's, there's no disputing that, but I had no idea he had that in his arsenal. I had no idea he could return kicks as well. I'm sure even Letcher was wondering, hey, dude, that's my gimmick. Don't take that from me. That's all he got. But just one of those things you just did not expect to see. And it was just after Toronto had scored their lone touchdown, which they, by the way, really had to fight for. But I did not have Tyrell Richards returning kicks on my 2025 CFL bingo card.
But
lo and behold,
post game, that was fun. Just asking him about that post game. So,
big smile on his face too. I mean, he was loving every second of it, and he too, like in his regular tackling duties on special teams, he was a beast. I mean, he was definitely making plays happen. He was snuffing out. Ball was kicked deep, and there's a couple times too where like the defender or the returner was lucky to get maybe 5 yards before Tyrell came crashing down on him. Like, wow, okay, that's the Tyrell Richards we know and love. And again, we haven't seen enough of him because of the injury bug. But I mean, if he's going to play at that level and stay healthy this year, watch out. I mean, this could very well be a breakout season for him, which is kind of funny to think because he was the first overall draft pick in 2022. But better late than never, right?
Exactly. And lastly, so we can put this win to bed, we have to give accolades talk about special teams again. And with this game, we have to talk about Alexandre Gagne.
Mm,
I mean, Cliff, he led the team in tackles this week. They were all special teams tackles.
mm.
And it just so happens that those 7 special teams tackles, Cliff, they tied a save-a-fell single game record. I mean, that's a guy who he's a stalwart on special teams.
Mhm.
He may not get the accolades as much as he does, but he's always been a beast ever since he's come to Montreal.
Oh yeah, and you don't hear his name often. That's because he's doing his job properly, and that's essentially what you want out of your special teams guys. I mean, other than the returner, you're going to hear his name because typically he's doing something really phenomenal. But that itself too doesn't happen unless your special teams guys are all on the same page and working just as hard for that common goal. But Alexandre Gagne, wow! I mean, just absolutely sensational and just all over the place. I mean, you talk about Captain Quebec, that was him. And again, good enough to win the Budweiser Player of the Game award, which I was a little surprised at first because I thought, oh, Berglund's got this down. I mean, look at what he did. But I mean, 7 special teams tackles to tie a CFL record, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, and again, there's any number of players you could have given the award to. I mean, so many people contributed to this win, and we're a big part of it. But I mean, I'm not mad at all that Gagne got the award because, yeah, that was just, that's like a blue collar effort that he puts in each and every game. And again, doesn't always get the flowers, the accolades, as you said. People barely know that he's on the team sometimes, I feel, and which is unfortunate because he's not a flashy guy, but he still puts in the work and does those things to make those big plays happen. So to see him get the props like he did, absolutely outstanding. And before we put this game to bed, I have to mention this because it was just so incredible. During that Letcher return to start the second half, that was a pretty good return all by himself because of his speed and his ability to, dart in and out of, opposing tacklers. But he was able to gain even more yards because of an absolute bullet thrown by Jordan Mason to knock a defender on his ass. And wow, I mean, he just rocked this guy. Absolutely phenomenal. And as a result, Letcher, what did you say, was 67 yards that he was able to get on the return?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure 20 of those came as a result of that hellacious block thrown by Mason. So props to that as well. Not to take anything away from Gagne, but I mean, you said it yourself. Everybody on special teams did a phenomenal job. Byron Archambault, the coach, seeing him after the game, I said, amazing work, my man. That was just absolutely outstanding. And the smile, you could tell that big smile of his, and you could tell he was excited. He was hyped for his guys to have a phenomenal game. And again, the first of many victories in 2025 for the Montreal Alouettes. I'm not going to give a number of how many victories, but we got one, and it starts with one, right? The first of many.
Yep, exactly. We're on social media, many places you can find us. You can find the podcast over on any podcast aggregate. Just look for us there. Or you can head over to our entire archive over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can also find us over on X or Blue Sky, and that's at Alouettes FL Deck. On Facebook, over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and on Instagram and YouTube, that's over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, you can find the full broadcast version of this podcast. You can find the audio version also. And you can also find our post-game show, Flight Deck Live, where, as Cliff has said many a time on social so far this season and in years past, anything can happen when you go live, and stuff really does happen. So we make sure that you do tune in for any of our post game, whether the Owls be home or away. Just stay tuned for all of our socials because yes, we will tell you when we are going to be going live. Also, if you were looking to rep some merch, whether it be part of anything from our logo line, whether it be from our if you know line, from the Cartoon Bird 56 T-shirt, whether it be the shirt that I was wearing this past week, it was our homage to the Big O. or our newest shirt, the LBM shirt, the Little Big Mac shirt. You can find them there, and that's all over at flightdeckgear.ca. And gotta again want to thank our presenting sponsor, Royal Retros. If you go to royalretros.com and use the code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order.
And ladies and gentlemen, I say this every week, and again, thank you so much to the people that came up and talked to us about the flight deck after the game. But if you don't like, subscribe, you may not get all the info. So make sure you're doing, if you haven't already done that, no time like the present, right? Make sure you click the like button, give us a thumbs up, let us know what we're doing, leave a comment, let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong even, and make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a family member, tell everybody about the Alouettes flight deck. Make sure they're subscribed too, so that when we do go live or when we drop the latest podcast, you'll be aware of it.
Exactly. Alouettes head to Ottawa to play the Red Blacks. Some interesting news has already come across the wire. Currently, Cliff, according to DraftKings, that the Alouettes are a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 45.5. Heading into the game, Cliff, the Alouettes heading to Ottawa, they have won 10 straight contests in Ottawa, setting it as a franchise record. And according to Steve Daniel, stat guru that he was able to look this up for me. So far from what he has seen, there's been only 2 other teams that have had a longer streak. And that was, I think, Winnipeg, and it would be smart if you check your own tweet, Capper. It was 11 straight games for Winnipeg at BC in the 1950s, and Saskatchewan 11 straight at BC. You see a common theme there. Saskatchewan at BC in the 1960-1970s era. So they're going into a place that has been very good to them over the past couple of years, and they're going into a game where Ottawa's quarterback was just absolutely hammered versus Saskatchewan last week, and it's already been announced that former Alouette quarterback. Another former Alouettes quarterback will be starting for the Red Blacks this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, Drew Brown, who everybody's basically in Ottawa is basically pinning their hopes on for them to return to relevance and return to winning ways. He will not be in the lineup this week, but instead it will be, as you mentioned, former Montreal Alouette quarterback Matthew Schultz getting the start against the Montreal Alouettes. Again, we are Matthew Schultz guys. You know, he's been so good to us over the years, and we got nothing but love for him. But hey, we hope he does well, but maybe not too well. So I mean, at the end of the day, hey, listen, business is business, folks. I mean, we got nothing but love for Matt before the game, and we'll have love for him after the game. During the game, that's a different story, right? But he's got his work cut out for him because, I mean, you saw what this defense did to Nick Arbuckle and the Argos. Again, the defending Grey Cup champions. Ottawa, again, they had a very tough game against Saskatchewan. Again, I felt like they were able to hang with the Riders, and the Riders had their injury woes as well. And Ottawa had every opportunity they could to win the game. It just didn't quite materialize the way that they hoped. And, well, it's like that. But, it's their home opener, so they're going to be excited. They're going to be jacked up for it as well. A lot of former Alouettes in the lineup for the Red Blacks, not just Schultzy, but our man Eugene Lewis, William Stanback. Trying to think if there's any other former Alouettes, but I mean, those are for just those 3 names alone. Darius Pickett, thank you. I would be remiss if I did not mention Pick 6 Pickett. Yeah, that they're hyped too. They've been looking forward to this game as well. Because again, it's not so much a matter of showing up your former team, but at the same time, you're not there for a reason, right? And even though William Stanback did win the Grey Cup with the Alouettes in 2023, they moved on from him, or he moved on from them. But I'm sure there's still a little bit of a motivating factor for him as well to play outstanding on Friday. Again, a lot of the hopes for this Red Blacks team is pinned on these former Alouettes. And now with Matthew Schultz assuming the role of QB1, he's going to be excited as well. And I'm sure, I wouldn't say he's got revenge on his mind necessarily. I heard someone try to push that narrative. I'm like, no, he left in free agency. So it's not quite
and he's played the Alouettes many a time.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, whatever helps you, get you excited for the game. Okay, it is what it is. But no, I definitely think the Red Blacks will be just fine with Schultz at quarterback for however long Drew Brown is injured, on the injury list for. Obviously they're going to want him back because, again, I think it's fair to say that this Red Blacks team is going to operate differently under Drew Brown than they would under Matthew Schultz. So curious to see what that's going to be like. And yes, for the fans who will be at Percival Molson West on Friday, I think that's fair. I think we can call that now, right? You just said it, 10 wins in a row at formerly known as TD Place, but now I guess we'll call it Percival Molson West.
It's just switched to a symbol like Prince.
Or do we call it Pierre Carl Pelledo's other stadium?
I don't know, something like that. Yeah,
something, right? Maybe I'm stirring the pot a little bit.
So it's another, again, it's a division game. The Owls looking to extend the streak extend the streak in Ottawa. There still are some game stories to this, because I'm curious, and we'll see once the depth chart comes out, who's going to go up against Gino Lewis this week, because as people need to remember that he currently has the longest active streak in the CFL for most consecutive games with a touchdown, and currently it's at 9. He's looking to get 10 to tie the record, the CFL record this week.
Yep.
Could be interesting with Schultz. Again, Schultz under center. How that'll work, because last week it was Drew Brown who threw the touchdown to Gino. It'll be interesting to see, again, who covers him and what type of routes they're going to go, and how they're going to try to mask it so they can get Gino into the end zone.
Yeah. So again, I think this Alouette secondary will be ready for Gino. There's no question about that. They kept him in check for the most part the 2 times they played Edmonton last year. Again, you can't count out Gino Lewis. There's no question about that. I mean, he is he's a talent beyond reproach, and I still think very highly of him, not just as a person but as a football player as well. And I know he's going to do everything he can to, again, not show up the Alouettes necessarily, but just a little gentle reminder that, hey, I used to do this for you back in the day, and look where I'm doing it now. So, and he's going to want to win too. He's going to want to win for the hometown fans now that are starting to embrace him. Like, I'm starting to see online, a lot of people are getting those number 87 Lewis jerseys, but for the Red Blacks. So, yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I fully expect, though, this defense is not going to give a rat's ass about Gino Lewis and his touchdown streak. They're going to do everything they can to ensure that he does not get on the scoreboard, or any Red Black for that matter, getting on the scoreboard. And you saw the way that they manhandled Toronto. There's no reason why they couldn't do that to the Ottawa Red Blacks as well. I mean, this offense, I still think is going to be finding its form, especially now that there's another quarterback under center. There's going to be that to consider. The fact that they do have some very talented weapons like Dominique Grimes, William Stanback, and so on is going to help the cause tremendously for the Red Blacks. But this Montreal defense, I think they're feeling themselves right now. They got to be feeling really good about the effort they turned in at home, and they just want to keep that party going as well. So I fully expect they're going to be coming out guns a-blazing to start, and ultimately that's what's going to be, is whoever can set the tone early and often and keep it going is going to win this game.
No, I agree with you. Should be fun. Your boys will be in attendance. So Flightdeck Live will be taking place from TD Place Stadium. Stay tuned for all of our socials for that announcement. Probably be a little bit earlier than what it was this past week, but yeah, give or take 11 p.m. Give or take 11 p.m. I would say. But stay tuned for all of our socials.
Or better yet, folks, subscribe. Whether it's on X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, however you're following us on social media, they all have a notification bell or button or something that lets you know when we'd be going live. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're following, make sure you click that notification dealy, and you'll find out when we go live. But yeah, like around 11 o'clock or so.
I love that word. That's such a good word. That click, that dealy. Yes.
The dealy. It's all about the dealies, man. So yeah. So again, folks, make sure you're subscribed. All this to say, make sure you're subscribed, because yeah, when the game is finished, win or lose, your boy Tim and I, we're gonna be talking about it. We're gonna talk about what we saw live in Ottawa, and we want you to be a part of this.
Yeah, and it's not that we're leaving it for the last, but I guess we could say we're leaving it to the last to the best, last for the best for the last before we finish up. We want to give our thoughts and prayers to the family of Swift Birch. Um, if anybody's been following the Alouettes for a long time, you know the name and you know what he meant for the Alouettes franchise back then when he was playing. But to die only at the age, I think it's 55. Either way, and unfortunately, it was by that infamous C word.
Hmm.
Dying that young of cancer is just an absolute tragedy. Um, and it's like F cancer, like they say. But
100%.
still, it's again to lose anybody to that, but still to lose a part of of the Alouettes family is tough too, obviously.
Yeah, and that's the thing with cancer, folks. It doesn't care if you're male, female, child, adult, black, white, what have you. I mean, cancer is going to hit you no matter. Cancer does not discriminate at all, and it's unfortunate that now it's the Birch family that has to, lose a loved one as a result of this. And again, folks, like when we talk about, at Grey Cup, the CFL Fans Fight Cancer fundraiser that we're a part of every year, and it's something that we will
Mhm.
always be a part of no matter what, because again, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't been affected by cancer in some way, shape, or form. And again, it's so fortunate, and of course, our thoughts obviously go with Swift Birch's family, friends, fans, everyone who knew him and got to. We're fortunate enough to see him play, whether it's for the Alouettes or elsewhere. Absolutely dominant player, and yeah, taken from us far too soon.
8 seasons in the CFL, played for the Argos, Rough Riders, Ottawa Rough Riders, by the way, and
The
the Montreal
Rough
Alouettes.
Riders.
Yeah, Montreal Alouettes. 318 defensive tackles, 8 special teams tackles, 60 sacks, and currently, Cliff, he remains still tied fifth all time on Montreal's franchise sack list. Uh, All Star. Montreal. He was a Toronto's nominee for the most outstanding rookie in 1994. Again, as you said, it's just tough to lose him. And again, thoughts, our thoughts and well wishes to the family, and sending positive thoughts in during this rough time. So,
Mhm.
uh, stay tuned for all of our socials for anything else that may be coming up. If you happen to miss any of our other shows, make sure you head back and get caught up, especially the last week's Flight Deck Live, because as I said, anything can happen when you are live. And stay tuned for all of our socials for the upcoming announcements for Flight Deck Live, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're in Ottawa, you see us, come say hey. People this week did. They did it at the home opener. If you're there, you've seen it. It's happened to me before in Ottawa, by the way. We've been recognized in Ottawa, so come up, just say hey, and we'll be more than happy to chat with you. So,
Yeah,
um,
we'll be easy to find. We'll be the ones wearing the flight deck gear. So,
exactly.
so yeah, definitely, yeah, come out and see it. I mean, listen, Ottawa is always a great place to watch a football game, and with it being the home opener for the Red Blacks as well, you know, the vibes are going to be outstanding. I don't know if they'll be as outstanding as what they were at Percival Molson, but I mean, I fully expect Friday night football. Hopefully, the weather is great, and the fans show up, they show out, cheer their team on, and we're looking forward to seeing what the Alouettes can do on the road, and if they can continue being that dominant force that they were last week. I mean, Alouettes Nation is going to be excited for that for sure. So, no matter what, Friday evening is definitely going to be a ton of fun. Make sure you're checking it out. Make sure you're watching it. If you're not going to be at Percival Molson West, TD Place, then make sure you watch the game on TV, TSN, RDS, what have you. And then, yeah, check out Flight Deck Live. When the game is over, win or lose, Tim and I will be there, and we're ready to talk to you.
Yes, sir. So we'll talk to everybody soon. So for everybody here to the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.